Liao is an interdisciplinary sustainability and environmental scientist. His research interest lies at the intersections of environment and development. Dr. Liao has worked on topics that include land tenure and land use change, community-based natural resources management, dry land sustainability, and sustainable energy transition. His research includes both theoretical and empirical work, and he has carried out research in East Africa, Central Asia, and his recent work has appeared in Science, Nature, Food, Development and Change, amongst other journals. He holds a PhD in Natural Resources and Environment from Cornell University. Let's welcome Dr. Liao for his topic today is Sustainable and Just Energy Transition in the Global South.
I just want to make sure. I just want to get some feedback from the audience to make sure before I proceed.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear. Okay. Okay, that's excellent. Okay, thank you. So thank you for the wonderful introduction, and thank Dr. Mi for inviting me to join this workshop. So as introduced, so today my talk is about a sustainable and just energy transition in the Global South. So first of all, I would like to start with energy transition theory, so which is so by Giles et al. In 2017, there's a science policy forum piece that discussed under what circumstances will energy transition occur, right? So the first is niche innovation, basically new technologies becoming available and affordable to the audience to facilitate energy transition. The second one is the existing energy system needs to be weakened in order to give space for the new innovations to take place. And the third one, which is also very important, is the social technical landscape, such as the political context to facilitate these transitions. So today, my empirical investigation will be based on China's solar-based poverty alleviation strategies and examine how energy transitions happen in that context and its implications. So before doing to be honest, I started my research on energy related topics pretty late. This is more like one of my side project. So before I get into this project, this research topic, our research team started a literature review on this topic to basically to examine what has been investigated in the literature in terms of the energy transition pathways, right? From what original source to the destination source. And we see that it's quite diverse, but different countries at different development stage, they are at different transition pathways, right? In more developed economies, there are definitely shifts away from fossil fuels, but many households are still, especially in developing countries, they are still transitioning away from charcoal, firewood, and animal dung as policy interventions make other more cleaner and efficient fossil fuels becoming available, such as like biogas. And we also analyzed that there's energy transition pathways in different regions and countries like China, for example. China and India, they tend to dominate in the literature for energy transitions in developing countries. And we see that, for example, for China, so the vast majority of literature somehow just focused on the transition away from biomass-based energy into other more cleaner sources such as biogas, grid, hydro, or solar. So this might not represent the reality. It can be a literature bias towards some type of energy transitions, probably due to at some point the Chinese government may be facilitating this kind of biomass-related energy transitions, especially in its vast rural areas. So we also, to study energy transition, two interesting research questions is like, what are the determinants of energy transition adoption? And the second is impact of adopting cleaner energy on education and other outcomes, right? And we do see that in terms of determinants of clean energy adoption, we see that education clearly stands out as a very demonstrated a very positive effect in terms of facilitating clean energy adoption. Other important ones definitely include like income is a big one, household size, and also assets. And in terms of the impacts, we don't see any negative results, but we do see some mixed and some positive results. So as you can see here, it can largely benefits like education, environment, health, income, and business productivity. So therefore, we believe that the energy transition speaks to so many sustainable development goals, right? In terms of from poverty production to food production to health to education to gender equality, and also, of course, to alleviate the impact of climate change. And but recently, there are more and more scholars interested in advocating for energy transition from the justice perspective, in terms of like how can we take the energy transition opportunity to reduce the existing inequality in our access to energy, to clean energy across different social groups, right? That will be through like in our in-press paper, we proposed like to achieve this sustainability, to achieve this justice and equity goals. It has to be energy transition has to be spaced through this recognition, redistribution, and procedure mechanisms, and based on principles of rights, merit, need, and contribution in order to achieve three specific goals, such as including inclusion, equity, and redress. So what does this mean? Is like we need to really put as I put here, a sustainable energy for all as an explicit goal of energy transition, right? And because only the promoting equity and justice for all will make sense in the process of energy transitions. And so what does a like fair energy, not just energy system mean, right? This means it will fairly disseminate both the benefits and costs of energy services and also facilitate inclusive energy decision making. And as I also mentioned about earlier, right? So this to achieve the goal of equity and justice, first we need to consider 4 major principles, which are merit, need, contribution, and merits. Then through first 3 major means in the process of energy transition, by recognizing the benefits of the roles of different stakeholders, like to ensure a fair procedure in the energy transition, and redistribute the costs and benefits of energy. And the 3 major goals include inclusion, right? Be inclusive of different communities, different social groups, and ensure equity in terms of a treatment and a redress. This one is very important because there are vast inequalities in the existing energy transition. So we need to make sure in the energy transition process, the vulnerable social groups need to get need more help to achieve this energy equity goals. So I just want to use this diagram to briefly highlight what I mean by in terms of the difference between equality and equity, right? Equality basically means you treat everyone the same, right, to make sure that it's equal. But equity is more outcome oriented in terms of like we need to focus more and give more resources, more help to those socially disadvantaged groups. So that's what we mean by like redress. Redress is to basically make those who are disadvantaged to have the same level of access to energy. And motivated by those kind of ideas, I organized a special issue in World Development about this sustainable energy transition in the global south. And when I first come up with this idea, I mostly focused only on the sustainability implications. But as the special issue evolved, and many these are all 7 papers published under this special issue, and I can say that all 7 of them they also address an important justice issue. Therefore, as I'm writing this editorial to introduce this special issue, so justice has become a very central theme of this editorial piece. So from now, I'm going to briefly introduce my work, my empirical work, through the lens of targeted poverty alleviation in the energy sector, right? Poverty reduction through PV intervention, right? So this is a very how to say, it should be like considered as a very top-down energy intervention, like from this central government sector in terms of energy and poverty alleviation leading office. So they plan to distribute like a PV devices at household and village level. Those are the small scale ones, also plus some large scale ones. And they propose to implement this program in 471 counties in 16 provinces. Then this is like an idea started in 2014. And so just to give you an idea, so this is one of the largest PV station in China. So this is in the Qinghai province. That stretches over 1,000 kilometers from east to west. And also the small scale ones can be a village PV station, very small scale one, or can be a rooftop PV station like this. But we need to first contextualize the PV-based intervention for poverty alleviation, right? So at the bottom, it shows like the evolution from the work plan to the original idea to the policy guidelines and to 2 rounds of implementation plans, right? The first round mostly focused on large PV power stations, while the second one focused on small-scale village or household level PV stations. But this kind of policy is proposed in the context of we also need to consider the political context for poverty alleviation, and also in the context of a PV industry development in China, and also China's goal to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions, right? So there's an environmental, industrial, and the political context for this kind of PV-based policy, poverty alleviation programs. And as we can see, right, this is at the county level, we see those the spatial distribution of PV projects. And we see that on the left side, it shows the large-scale PV stations. They are also, they tend to be clustered, but only available in certain geographic areas. It is yet to cover many poor counties as identified in the policy guidelines. So by the way, so there's some counties with green outlines, right? Those are the identified poor counties according to the central government. But on the right side, there are way larger number of small-scale PV stations that are identified to that are planned to build those kind of PV stations. However, there are huge, when you examine the policy guidelines and the implementation plans, there are huge gaps in those 2 documents, as you can see. So for some provinces like Tibet, like nearly, for example, almost all counties are included for this policy, for this PV-based interventions, but none of them are included in the implementation plan. Also, so for some other provinces like Yunnan and Hebei, Yunnan also tend to be low. Other provinces tend to be like there's some level of like mismatch, right? And so because of some professional connections in Qinghai, so I decided to examine more in terms of what's going on in that province. As you can see here, right? And there's not a huge gap in terms of a policy guide and the implementation plans. But when I examine closely with some more like some data from that province, we see that if you compare between the planned PV, a number of PV stations and the constructed PV stations, there are huge gaps, right? There are in general, across all counties in Qinghai, there are way less number of PV stations being constructed. But the total capacity stayed more or less the same. This means that they tend to be at the ground implementation level, they tend to build bigger, larger capacity PV stations instead of the small scale village or household level PV devices as allocated by this government programs. Right. Obviously, this is building large-scale ones in highly sparsely populated places like Qinghai definitely is cost-effective. Right. Okay. So I think there are only 2 minutes left on my side. I'm going through. I will go through this quickly. So the other part of this policy a policy intervention is for poverty reduction, right? There are two explicit goals. One is to develop local capacity and assets and industry so poor households can become self-sustaining. And the second one is like no less than 3,000 yuan per year should be allocated to poor households for 20 years. Right, two explicit goals, but there's no goal specified in terms of changing the small the local people's energy consumption behavior, energy use behaviors. So this is the part I identify as a major gap in this PV-based policy implementation. So in terms of, here I'm just going through them very quickly. So in terms of beneficiaries, right, the local governments made a lot of adjustments in terms of who is eligible and the duration of this intervention program to help those small poor households. And the second is the revenue allocation. The local implementation also made quite a lot of modifications in terms of the purpose of the revenues and the cash allocation approach. And also for local capacity building, in fact, those kind of PV stations can barely help hire those local people to work as technicians, but they can only mostly serve as cleaning persons to clean the solar panels, maybe every 3 months like that. And also the one last goal is to help the PV industry, but at least for the case in Qinghai, all contractors except one are from elsewhere in China, right? And we can barely say that this is helping PV industry development in the province of Qinghai, but mostly the benefits go to the more developed coastal areas of China. Therefore, the key question here, it also make me think about how in the future, how can we better facilitate the energy consumption, energy use behaviors of smallholder pastoralists and farmers in this vast rural areas. So when I was in those villages, I talked to people and I asked them what are those solar farms mean to them. They have no idea actually about what they are doing. But if you install those kind of rooftop PV devices, they have a pretty good idea, right? It's right on your roof, so you will know this is what this is for, and then you tend to use more electricity, use more clean energy in your households. So I would say on the left side, it is definitely an expensive approach for poverty alleviation, right? Because solar is still, compared to some other traditional energy sources, is relatively expensive, especially in those vast rural remote areas. But on the right side, this is even more expensive, right? Because you need to think about the maintenance cost and something like that, and logistics. So, but on the right side, indeed, it can help local people with changing their energy consumption behaviors, right? This is a very important. If energy-based interventions do not have an energy oriented goal, right, to help the local people to have better access to clean energy, then what is the point of this intervention programs, right? And as I showed this one on the right side, and it also shows, right, this can better address the energy equity issue. But I have to acknowledge that the right side is also very expensive, and I should also, yeah, and it's yet to be adopted across the landscape in such vast, sparsely populated rural areas. So I leave this as a question for future investigation. And thank you for your attention. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Liao, for very insightful and rich studies. I hope